welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. I don't know, well, I'll be back on stage. Again, I'll let everyone know if you ever want to come by the club, come and say hi and chat with me about the show or how much you love it, or maybe how much you hate it. I don't know. The choice is up to you. I am a stripper. I am also a digital content creator, as well as a former sugar baby. Used to do that many, many moons ago, and I've dabbled in a bunch of different forms of sex work. I am here to. Ooh, what's that?
Ooh, it's a hot man on a motorcycle. Hello.
I'm excited. I was
Take me for a ride later.
And if you were all wondering who this lovely voice is, I will be introducing her just very shortly. Just going to go through some housekeeping things before we get started, because this is a big episode today. This episode, we will be discussing a sensitive topic. We will be discussing sex trafficking. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. If this is something that might affect you, if this is going to be a trigger for you, I totally understand. Feel free to skip this episode. It might not be for you. We will be talking about it in the first, probably, I want to say half to 2/3 of the episode. So I will try to see if I could put some like markers for when the sensitive topic will be done speaking about that, but a large portion of the episode will be on that. So I am putting the ball in your court. Feel free to skip, and we'll be having another episode next week anyways. So I just want to put that out of the way, and quick shout out to Patreon subscribers. So we got some new people in here in the past couple weeks. So we have Paris Frank, we have Justin Erickson, Erp Sarkar, Karen Zen, Jay Sunstern. You are all on the top tier of the podcast, of the Patreon. And I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Your donations really mean a lot to me, and it's helping me make the show a bit better in terms of getting better guests on, putting more production into the episodes, and giving you a little bit of a sneak peek of what goes on behind the scenes, and giving you some previews on like who's coming up, what to expect, and whatnot. So I just want to say thank you. Anyone interested, you can go ahead and subscribe on patreon.com/stripbysia if you're interested. We have lower tiers as well, starting at $4. So it's like the price of a coffee. So consider it if you really like the show. One way that you can support, but it's enough of that jargon. This is not what we're here to talk about. But if you are listening to the show, you might be interested in sex work. You might be a sex worker. You might be an ally. Maybe you're a client. Maybe this is not even part of your world, and you just want to learn more and do better. So this show is for you. It's all about destigmatizing sex work. And to help me do that, I have brought on this week's guest, which I am so excited to see her face again, because we met at the Why Not reunion in person, and she just has a lovely personality, and we connected on a couple things, and I was like, I need to have you on the show. I need to tell your story. And basically, yeah, this is why she's here today. She's also very excited and just so strong to talk about the content we will be talking about again, which is sex trafficking. I'd love to introduce to the audience Maya Romero.
Oh my God. Hi. Hello. It's a pleasure. It's a blessing. Grand rising, everyone. Hello. Oh my
It's so
God.
lovely to have you on.
It's amazing. It's finally happening.
It's finally happening. Thank you so much for your patience and just like letting me get my shit together. And I'm like, we can record this week. Does this time work for you?
Girl, I'm the most flexible. I should be a contortionist with my schedule.
I super appreciate it. And I'm also super appreciated that you are able to come talk to me today, come talk to the audience today about your story, about, well, one, human trafficking, and in a more specific manner, sex trafficking, because you were a victim of sex trafficking, which we will get into shortly. But besides that, you're also a very successful cam model on Chatterbait, and also I think you were also on Strip Chat as well, which
For a period of time, yeah.
yes, which we'll definitely speak about later on in the show today. But I'd love to flip it back to you, Maya, in terms of like, how do you define yourself? What title do you want to give yourself?
So, I put it in my Instagram bio too. I am a full-time sexy lady and I make music. I love singing, I love rapping. A musician, full-time sexy lady, and full-time crazy lady. So that's pretty much how I define myself. You know, I enjoy creation in all of its aspects, and that's really why I found my home in the industry, is because it's creation. It's doing whatever the hell you want to do, and I found my home in music the same way. It's you create what you feel, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
Um, so that's definitely just full time sexy lady, and I know I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Well, we're going to learn a thing or two about you over the next hour and a bit, or however long you want to stay with us. So, balls in your
I
court.
got
So,
time.
yeah, I got time too. I don't got nothing after this. So,
Woo,
I just,
girl.
I
It's gonna
just
be a
knew this
lengthy
was
one.
going to
Buckle
be
up.
yeah, I mean, I just knew this was going to be a long conversation. And I just really wanted you to take your time with everything too. So, if it's okay with you, should we just dive right into it and just
Yeah,
dive
absolutely.
both feet in? Yeah. So, I
Let's
mean,
go.
for anyone listening, yes, we will be discussing human trafficking, and I just want to go out there and say, some people might not know what human trafficking is, and if you didn't know, it's not just sex trafficking. There's many different forms of human trafficking, including forced labor, forced criminal activity, sexual exploitation, which is what we're going to be talking about. Yes, organ removal, people smuggling, like people trying to cross borders, people who are migrants, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and oftentimes, and I just don't know if it's with the media or just like West Assester or whatever. There's so much attention that goes to sex trafficking, but I just want to make that delineation that there are different types out there. Maya, I'm not sure if there's anything you wanted to add to that bit.
Yeah, I mean it's the same concept as like everyone's concept of abuse is like, oh, you get hit. And it's like, no. This is not a two-side coin. This is a dodecahedron of bullshit that you can turn any way and it is still what it is. And I feel like that's what when you put too much focus on trying to give it one specific thing and it has to apply to one specific thing, you kind of lose the gravity of it being such a large industry, it being such a large way of income, just making people do things against their will,
Yeah.
things that they normally wouldn't do,
Yes. Without their
is
consent.
basically exactly without their consent, just making them feel like they have to because they would be in danger if they didn't, making them feel like they have to because their family would be in danger if they didn't,
Right.
etc., etc.
Yeah. And these are so many common excuses and reasons why they can trap people. And I know at some point, I'm already kind of predicting, like, we're going to be talking about grooming at some point later in this episode, which we'll talk about. We'll also talk about some warning signs as well, which I think is really, really important. But yeah, I mean, for this particular episode, we'll be discussing sex trafficking. So, geez, there's so many different types of sex trafficking too. So, did, did you want to go into that like a little bit as well?
Yeah, so the specific kind of sex trafficking that I was a victim of is I was a victim of online sex trafficking. I was sex trafficked for hundreds of millions of people to view my content online. And I was streaming live, meaning that I was always there every day, putting up this facade of like everything's fine, everything's fine. I am having so much fun. I love my job. Everything's fine. And it was like that exploitation of I didn't have any plans to go into this industry prior to being trafficked. This was not
Oh.
a route that I had planned for my life. And I definitely think it was a gift because it definitely shook up my perspective, changed my biases, and everything like that. But I mean, I was a manager at a Starbucks. I had a Made in
Mm.
the Shade. I was managing a Starbucks. I was living the life, and all of a sudden, I was swiping on Tinder. I had just turned 18. My birthday is September 24th, 2002. I'm 19 years old.
Okay.
So I had just turned 18. It was about November. And I had met this really cool guy on Tinder. We hung out on Halloween. That was the first date. You know, I went over to his house and we had drinks and I dressed up like a bunny and it was very cute and he was very handsome. He drove a nice car, he had a nice apartment, and I was living in a lower income part of where I was living. So obviously, it was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this, right? Your knight in shining armor, your person to like take you away from all this, like the person who has the ability to pick you up and take you out of where you were. And that's what I saw, and I saw this, you know, very kind, charismatic man. He was funny, he was smart, he was everything that I was looking for. And
Yeah.
it didn't even occur to me that that is literally a sign that someone isn't who they say they are if they are exactly what you've been looking for,
Yeah. It's like almost
to
like
a
too good
T.
to be true.
It's too good to be true.
Right.
You know, like that's the whole thing, is like when an offer is too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah. I had to question
But
that.
we started dating, you know, talking, and I would go and see him every other day. I would pay the $30 Uber there and the $30 Uber back just to go see him. And I would spend the night, and it was like this whirlwind. I was 18 years old. I was like, oh my God, a boy. He loves me.
Yeah.
And
Living the life.
right? And I was in a high rise. It was like everything that I had dreamed of. And all of a sudden, I get a text message saying, hey, baby, um, have you ever heard of OnlyFans?
Mm,
And I said, yeah, I'm familiar with OnlyFans, and I know what you're about to ask me. And the answer is no.
yeah. So
I'm
you
not,
already
I'm,
knew.
yeah, I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not really interested in the whole making content and stuff. It's just, it's not me. I don't feel like I would feel good about it. And he was like, well, it's a great way for us to make lots of money and live the life that we've always wanted together.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So he's trying
this
to
is
loop
a
you
warning
in
sign.
here. Yeah, this is definitely
This is a warning sign. This is called illusions of grandeur.
yeah.
It's a really really common sign in narcissistic abuse,
Yes.
domestic violence cases, and also human trafficking. It's this whole I can show you the world, you know,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
magic carpet ride of fuckery. It's if it's too good to be true, it absolutely is. And in my head, I was like, no, there's no way the universe wouldn't put this perfect opportunity for me if I wasn't meant to take it.
Yeah.
And so I started my first camp show. I'm looking at my Snapchat memories as I tell these stories. My first camp show was December 22nd. I met him in October.
Wow. So just a couple months
So
of that. Grooming.
in that time span, my ex boyfriend was in possession of a front and back picture of my photo ID, my social security number, my passport, my birth certificate, every single piece of document. He did my 2020 taxes.
Jesus.
So he had infested my life and taken hold and like taken root. It's almost like those trees that grow right next to other trees, and they're the vines that grow and try to take the sun.
Yep.
It's exactly like that. And it was like this feeling of, if it was moving so fast, like it was almost like when I was sitting on the bed waiting to start my first cam show, I sat there and wondered, how did I get here? Because I thought I was smart,
Yeah.
and this doesn't seem like a very smart decision, to be sitting in some random dude's apartment that I've only known for 2 months, that I think that I love, and that I'm just gonna make him money, and it's all gonna be fairy tale romance, perfect forever.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you know, you convince yourself that it's true. You know what I mean? Like, I've already done all of this. I've already gone this far. He already has this much on me. Might as well, right?
Totally.
And I, you know, I started camming, and I cammed every single day from December 22nd to June 14th.
Holy shit.
Every single day for at least 8 hours every single day.
Oh my God. And of course, like, if I may ask, you were not seeing any of that profit?
I did not see any profit, absolutely zero, for about 3 months. And then after 3 months, I got told that I had to leave the apartment that I was living in and get my own because my boyfriend told me that we were spending too much time together, which meant that I was around too much, so he didn't have the opportunity to groom more women to make more money. So he needed a second apartment to have me in. That way, there was no evidence of a woman, there was no evidence of a girlfriend. It was just a sterile apartment to groom women in. And he stays close to college town, the biggest college town in my state, the biggest party college, one of the biggest party colleges in the United States. And that's
For that
calculated
purpose. Yeah,
for
that's
that purpose.
specific.
Because there's tons of 18-year-old girls with college debt that need to pay it off.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of girls with daddy issues. There's hundreds of girls with insecurities. There's hundreds of girls that you can prey on in
Yeah,
a college town.
exactly.
And I streamed every day and I saw none of the profits until I was told that I needed to get this apartment. This apartment was solely in my name. He sent me fake bank statements to send to this apartment because I wasn't working. I was not getting any money deposited into my bank accounts.
Right.
So he photoshopped bank statements for me to give to my apartment complex.
Oh my gosh.
And it worked.
Wow.
And so I was living in an apartment that cost me, base rent was $2,600 a month. Base rent. At 18 years old, at base rent, I was living in a $2,600 a month apartment.
Jesus.
Not including utilities, not including the cost to furnish it. That was something he paid to furnish the entire apartment. Well, I paid to furnish the entire apartment.
Yeah, you made that
And
money.
but it was something that he would hold over my head. Like I spent over 10 grand furnishing this apartment and da 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 da. But I found the Wayfair receipts in my email that all of the items were returned for a full refund.
What?
So it was furniture that he kept but returned, so he got the money back. So it was another method of like, I've spent all this money on you, but I really fucking didn't.
Yeah. He's like dangling the
And
carrot in front of you and kind of guilt
yep,
tripping you. Be like, well, I did
hmm
this all for you. I did this all for
yep,
us.
I did this for us.
Yeah.
This is a sign of human trafficking, not having control of your own money, your cell phone, or having more than one cell phone in your possession. I had two phones, one for work, one for me. I had to use two phones. I wasn't allowed to have the logins. I wasn't allowed to know what the password to the Snapchat was that I would do my work on. I wasn't allowed to know how to contact my customers without someone supervising it.
Right. Everything is
And
monitored.
and so that when I got the apartment was when I started seeing profit. And by profit, I mean I was given exactly enough money to pay my rent and my utilities every single month. And even then, I had to pull teeth to get it.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, do you have the rent money? Hey, can I pay the rent? Hey, I need money. I need to go to the bank to deposit it so I can pay it. Please, can I have the money? Please, can I have the money? I was making $1,000 a day.
Jesus.
I was making $1,000 a day. So that's $7,000 a week. 7 times 4. I was making a fuck ton of money, and I had to pull teeth to get $2,000. I was given money to get my hair done because that was work. I had to look good. My job is to look good. I was given money to get my nails done because I had to look good. I was given money to get my eyelashes done. I was not given enough money to buy a week's worth of groceries, but you can always bet your ass I had $200 to get my lashes done.
That is so fucked up.
It was definitely, and it's this, the biggest part with being a victim of human trafficking is having to sit there and admit to yourself that you fucked up.
Yeah.
That you are in this situation. You are in this situation. Normal people in normal relationships don't look up signs for human trafficking. Normal people in normal relationships don't listen to podcasts like this talking about human trafficking. Normal people in normal relationships don't even consider that to be an option.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Something's definitely
And
wrong.
that's the biggest step to take is you have to jump. You have to be like, this is wrong. My ex was a pilot. So I would go on airplanes alone with my ex-boyfriend. And it got to the point where I would send pictures of the airplanes that I was going to be on to my friends and say, hey, I'm about to go on a flight. If you don't hear from me in about 8 hours, this is the plane that I'm on. That's not normal.
That is
Normal
not
people
normal.
don't have that thought process of, hey, I'm going to take a picture of the plane I'm going on just in case I go missing.
Yeah, that's super backwards. No one should ever think like that. You shouldn't operate like that.
And it's like you literally like get made to be insane. You get gaslit, you get told that this
Exactly.
is normal. That's another warning sign. If you are getting offered an opportunity to work with somebody in this industry and you are starting to ask questions and all they do is get irritated at you for asking questions, run the other direction. That's a sign.
That's
Because in this industry, with your body, you have every fucking right to ask every single question that you might comprehend.
mhm,
Because something that my boyfriend did not explain to me is when you are in this industry, you are on the internet forever.
forever. Exactly.
Forever, ever, ever. I've rebranded. My old name used to be Misty.
Mm,
If you Google love Misty Love 23 on Google and look at the images, that is pictures from me in active human trafficking.
oh,
Actively. I have photos and screenshots of bruises.
oh my
I
god.
would get this is the darker part. I'm going to give a warning before I start heading into this.
For sure.
On top of the human trafficking, what makes it so effective is the sexual abuse,
Yes. This is
the
common.
sexual manipulation. It's a common my the way that my ex used to say it was men have women have sex, men have attention.
What?
Women have sex, men have attention. So therefore, all I have to offer to him is sex.
Sex. Yeah, that's
All I want from him is his attention. Right? That's accurate though. That's accurate. I was looking for an emotional connection with him. He was not. So he was accurate. So what he would do is we would have I was 18 years old. I lost my innocence on camera. I had never used a vibrator before, and I did it for people I didn't even know. I didn't even comprehend what was happening. No one
yeah.
explained to me because like at the end of the day, your body is your body and whatever you choose to do with it is your business and your business alone. But you have the right to be the most informed and educated about the decisions that you're about to make. And I was not educated. And I was 18 and I trusted someone that was older than me. My boyfriend was 30. My boyfriend was
Mhm.
30 years old. I was 18. That's a red flag.
That's another red flag for
From
sure.
from the jump. From the jump, I'm sorry. Love has no age as long as you're of legal consenting age, but however, comma, 18 years old and a 30-year-old and he's trying to get me in porn, that's a red flag.
That is a huge red flag.
And it was the sexual abuse. It was the hey, do you want to try something really kinky? I'm going to take these firsts from you. These firsts. Cuz I wasn't a virgin when I met my boyfriend, but I definitely was inexperienced. So he was taking things. You know what I mean? Like these experiences, you're always going to remember this forever.
Yeah.
Um
He took the
I remember he took things that you can't get back. It wasn't money. It's past the money, past everything. It was taking things that you can't get back.
yeah.
You give them away and you can't get them back.
Yeah. And
And
that's ingrained into you.
it's like watching thousands of mirrors like shatter and being like, "Oh, it wasn't real. None of it was real. Oh my god. I got played." Like the illusion shatters. My ex-boyfriend would look at me and make it very well known that he was cheating on me. But he was like, it's not
Mm,
cheating because men and women have different needs. You don't need to be able to talk to anybody else. You are not allowed to talk to men at all. Don't look at them.
right.
Don't talk to them. Don't do anything. And,
Right. So he's controlling you in that
but
aspect. Like
he's allowed to do
you
whatever
can
the
do
hell he
this.
wants.
Oh, of course, right? Of course. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, but he's gonna dictate what you can and cannot do.
What I can't do, what I can do, what I can't do, what I can eat, what I can't eat, when I can shower, when I can't shower, when I can go to the bathroom, when I can't go to the bathroom, when I'm allowed to change my tampon, when I'm not allowed to change my tampon, what shoes I'm allowed to wear, what clothes I'm allowed to wear, how I'm allowed to style my hair, what color my hair is, how short it is. I used to have a tattoo of this man's fucking name on my ribs. And there
Oh
is
god.
4 other women live on camera right now with that same name tattooed on their ribs.
Branding.
Branding,
It's a
like
form of
cows.
branding. Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend made it very well known that he was cheating on me, and he would look at me while we were having sex and be like, it's your fault that I cheat on you, right?
Oh God.
Imagine you are fiending for just a little bit of fucking intimacy with your partner, and you
Hmm.
are having an intimate moment with your partner, and they look at you dead in the face and say, "Do you know that it is your fault that I cheat on you?"
God. It's
If you
that
just found a
emotional
girl,
manipulation.
fucks you in the head. If you had just found a girl for us to have a threesome with, I wouldn't cheat on you.
Jesus. If you just did this,
And
if you just did
if you just
that.
did this, if you just did this, if you just did this, it was never good enough. There was
Yeah.
always a reason. And the physical abuse during sex. So this was not only a manipulation tactic, but this was also a way to get around it legally. Because how do you think it's going to hold up in court if I stand in front of a court of law and say, my boyfriend only beat me during sex and I didn't like it?
Right.
Where's
There's
the
oh,
proof? Where
yeah.
is the proof? I can't prove that I was abused, essentially. In a court of law, I can say it all I want and I can show the videos and I can do this and that, but in a court of law, it will not stand.
No, it doesn't look good for women, unfortunately. And I hate that.
Because my ex would take signs of human trafficking. You have surveillance in your house and your house feels like it's designed to keep people in, not out. I had guns, knives, um, ammo, semi-automatic large firearms. I had shotguns. And it was not to protect me. It was a reminder.
Yeah.
And
If
I
you fuck
know that.
up,
I
yeah.
know that. It would be a running joke my ex would make about killing me. It was a joke, funny haha. Not very funny haha when you're looking at someone holding a loaded weapon. Going, I could just shoot you right now, right?
The fact that he's using it as humor is so fucked up on so many levels.
It was the way I describe my ex is the scene from American Psycho where he's sitting there doing his
Which one?
skincare routine. He's there. There is an idea of Patrick Bateman, uh, something that
Hmm.
you've built in your mind, and you can feel my hand against yours, and you can tell that you might be able to relate to me a little bit, but I'm not really there. Is exactly what it was. Is like
Mm,
you can touch this man, you can see this man, you can tell this man you love him, and he's not real. He is a
yeah.
it
Almost like a
it's
ghost.
it's a ghost. It's someone he is. It is a
Yeah.
person that he has crafted and fine-tuned to you. It is a mask.
Hmm.
It's a carefully crafted facade. And he started getting more and more physically aggressive during sex. My family, I started slowly stopping contact with my family as I started dating further and further in my relationship. It was like my mom was crazy. She was manipulative. She was gaslighting. This was all his words. My mom's crazy. She's manipulative. She's a gaslighter. She doesn't want you to be happy. She's jealous. Your whole family is jealous about how much money you're making, Maya. Like, your whole family is jealous about who you are and who you're with, and that you have this and they don't, and they're trying to take it from you.
So he's trying to isolate you at this point. Those isolation tactics, because you're not going to have anyone. You're the only person yet. Yeah, you can rely on. He's the only person that you can rely on at that
Yeah,
point.
100%. I didn't have access to a car. I didn't have access to the key fobs to get into my building. So if I left without permission, I was kind of fucked. Couldn't get back in the building without a key fob. There was, like I said, security cameras everywhere. Um, so that means that he could listen to my phone call conversations. At any point, he could come in. I have videos of him talking to me through the cameras. And send I have text message conversations of him sending me screenshots of me shotgunning a Red Bull over my kitchen sink and him asking me, "What were you doing?"
What?
I didn't message him about it or anything. He just
No.
messaged me, "What were you doing in the kitchen?"
How violating is that?
I had a camera in my bedroom. So now I have this lovely thought of knowing that my ex literally has hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of me being intimate, and not like performer intimate, like actually intimate, with him. And he used to take, I remember, like, he would blindfold me during sex, and I could fucking feel the fact that he had a camera. I could feel the fact that he was, you know how you can like know when someone's like taking a video of you? I
Yep.
could feel it. Like he would go from using two hands with whatever he was doing, and then one hand would drop
Yep.
off the face of the earth.
Exactly.
And I would have this thought like he's recording me right now.
Yeah.
And it was there's this philosopher. He was enslaved for most of his life. His name is escaping me, but he said, when I was a slave, I had no choice in anything except for being a good slave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you
Right.
adopt this mentality of like, well, if I'm stuck here, I'm just gonna do what he wants me to do, and I'm gonna be good at it.
Well, it's
You become
also a
obsessed.
survival tactic, though,
It's a
too.
survival tactic.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't fuck up and I don't do anything wrong, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it's like you're chasing the dragon, you know, like it's never as good as your first high. You're
Yeah.
being addicted to a narcissist is never as good as your first high. The first time you meet them is the bar that you will forever be chasing. That person that they showed you and then they took away from you, that's the person you're chasing, and that person's not real. And you know, you have this choice where it's like, well then fuck it. I'm in charge of one thing in my fucking life, and that was my sex work.
Mm-hmm.
And so by proxy, it benefited him. It worked exactly the way it was supposed to. I grossed over $500,000 within 6 months of my cam career.
Holy shit.
I was a top 50 model on Strip Chat for 6 months consecutively, never dropping out of the top 50, hardly ever dropping out of the top 25.
Damn.
Because I had no other choice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, you were
And
forced into this.
the logic and reasoning was, if I was in that room live on camera, he couldn't get in there. I was safe. You couldn't talk to me, you couldn't fuck with my head, you weren't allowed to do anything while I was in that room making you money. And then he would watch my streams. He had a user account on the site, and he would tip me pretending to be a user to he was a marketing guy. He was starting to try to start tip ladders. He was a planted tipper in my room. He was a knight. He would tell me how pretty I looked and how much he loved me, and you would just watch me go, "Oh, thank you, daddy."
Right.
And it was you were always being watched even when you weren't. Like he was sitting in the living room. He was sitting in the other room watching me stream.
That is so eerie. Such an uncomfortable feeling. Like the more that you tell me about your story, I just
It's like this
so hard to
uneasy.
digest. Yeah.
It's just very uneasy, and I remember when the whole facade started crumbling, because there it takes a few things. Like for me, when I left, it took a series of events stacked on top of each other, and it was the
Mhm.
straw that broke the camel's back that caused me to leave. Um,
Tell us about
but the first series of events um, was I had a work phone, which just so happened to be my ex-boyfriend's old phone. Well, the dude was an idiot and he never wiped the phone before he gave it to me. And
that.
I'm a nosy bitch, right? And I know my boyfriend's cheating on me, and he just handed me his old phone. What do you think I did? What do you think the first thing I did was? I took out my phone and I took pictures of every single thing that I found on that phone. And when I tell you that I found a contact list that took me 40 seconds to scroll through, like this, full of women, I'm
Oh
not even I'm
my god.
not even lying. I scrolled through it like this,
Oh, that makes
waiting.
me so sick.
And it was a line of Marys, a line of Rebeccas, a line of Samanthas. It was multiple women with the same name, and then just so he could tell the difference, he would put like a one and then the city he met them in next to it, or like the site that he met them on, or if you were like me, because if we're gonna dumb this down, let's call this sex trafficking in all of its forms. Let's say I'm a 304. Let's say I'm a prostitute.
Okay.
My pimp, right? My pimp. I had a pimp.
Hmm.
I was his bottom bitch. I was the one that was supposed to go through all of this, first and last out, and I was the one that was supposed to get chosen after we all retired and everything like that. We made our fortune. After I got trafficked, it was then supposed to be my turn to move forward into a wife position, to get
Right.
married, to have kids. That was never gonna fucking happen.
No.
That's the whole point behind having a bottom bitch, is you have someone that will do anything for as long as you tell them to.
Right.
And But Jeffrey Epstein had his Ghislaine Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
I got fucked up
We
in
all
the head, and I started recruiting girls on Tinder too.
I hear this too
And
many times.
I started doing it too. And what I started doing was I would meet up with a girl, I would hang out with her. She would be so fun, and it was like, "Oh my god, I'm not alone. I can have a friend. I can have a friend to go through this with me because as long as I'm the favorite, I can handle whatever bullshit he throws at me,
Right.
but I won't be alone." And that's how sick you get.
That
It's
is
like misery loves company, right? If
right.
I'm stuck here, then why shouldn't someone else be stuck here with me?
Oh my God.
And
Oh man. I'm so sorry to hear this.
yeah, and it definitely is something that keeps me up at night. That specific part was the fact that I almost let him turn me into him.
Yeah. And that like active participation. Like I'm sure you might feel
That
some
the
guilt and
active,
the
like I
weight.
actively contributed to the fuckery that fucked me up for I'm never going to be the same. I'm never going to be the same. And that's something that you have to just come to terms with and like find peace in, is like, thank God I'm not the same, because if I was the same as I used to be, I would still be that dumb. And what's to say, like, honest to God, what's to say that that wasn't the worst thing that could have happened to me? What happened to me is I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm sitting here. I'm using a laptop. I have Wi-Fi and I have AC. There's
Exactly.
not half as many women that get as lucky as I did.
This is so true. This is so, so true.
And
It's unfortunate.
yeah. And then, the series of events started unraveling. I went through the phone more and more. Like every day I would go through the phone and find something else. I found pictures of him laying on a bed with money. I found all of these photos of women with their IDs.
Ugh.
I mean, it was
God.
it was like, oh my god, I found all the girls with the tattoos of his name,
Oh my God.
and it's like, oh shit. Oh shit.
This is like a revelation for you at this point.
I have videos of me going through this phone, and all you can hear me saying is I'm going, "Oh my god, oh 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 my god." And you can hear like it's imploding. And for some fucking reason I stayed. I still stayed. I saw it all. I literally saw it all. I saw everything. And I was like, maybe I'm wrong. I really love him. He loves me.
Yeah, that
He treats me so
brainwashing.
good. He treats me so good. Um, he used to have sex with me and go, "What would you do if I left you?"
What did you say to that?
I said I would die.
Wow.
And he goes, "What would you do if I left you?" And I remember one day he just kept hitting me in the face over and over again, asking me over and over again, "What would you do if I left you? What would you do, bitch? What would you do if I fucking left you?" And I said I would kill myself.
Oh my God.
And then he kissed me and he was like, "Good girl." He started asking me, "What would you do if I got locked up? What would you do if I went to jail?" Why are you asking me what would I do if you went to jail? What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? What's going
I'm
on?
actively a victim of a crime, being like, "Why would you be going to jail?" Like, you're actively committing a crime against me, and I'm like, what are you doing that's illegal?
Mm-hmm.
And all in all, in total, of all the money that I made, and I want to say with the way he invested it in Bitcoin, he put all my money in Bitcoin. Um, in the way he invested it and how much money I made across platforms. I was not only streaming on Strip Chat, I was streaming on Bonga Cams, I was streaming on Chatterbait. I had an OnlyFans account. I had grossed $1 million at the age of 18 in 6 fucking months.
That's nuts. That's
I
so
was on track to be the top name in this fucking industry, but I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. I wasn't allowed to communicate with anybody. I didn't exist except inside these four walls. I was a. Have you ever seen Cam Girl, the movie, the horror movie, where she like fucking sees like it literally that bitch.
Oh my God.
You watch your streams back and you're like, oh my god, I did that, and I didn't even put any thought into what I was doing. I just did it. And now it's out there forever. And now everyone gets to see me shove something in my ass. And I wasn't ready for that. That's the part that bothers me is I wasn't ready for that. I'm a content creator now. I have no problem sticking shit up my ass. However, I have understood and processed what that means
Yeah, because now it's on your own terms.
because it's a me.
Yeah.
And I I feel like one of the other things that contributed to me wanting to leave was, the abuse, the getting cheated on. It was definitely something that was always in the back of my mind. I think it's what caused like my mental deterioration to the point where I broke.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like a span of I think 2 months where all I did was just I woke up and I would cry, and I would go to sleep crying, and I cried every day, and I cried all day. And the only time I wasn't crying was when I was on stream, and even when I was on stream, I would just turn away from the camera and I
Oh
would
my
cry on
god.
stream.
Oh
I would
my
sit
god.
there and shake my ass while crying. I got so self-destructive, I had a tip menu item to spank myself, and I would sit there and I would hit myself. I would fucking hit myself. I would hurt myself on stream just because I got so self-destructive. It was a pain that I was in fucking control of. I was okay with this.
Mhm.
And I bruised up my ass like this big.
Oh my god.
And like for those of you who can't see, like the size of a papaya.
That's huge, is what she's
Yeah.
showing on camera right now.
It's like the side, the entirety of my cheek and like lower back. I just kept hitting. And it was definitely like you kind of sit there and you look at the mirror and you're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah. Who am I?
Who
What
am I?
happened to me?
You start losing like who you were and start becoming like that person that you cam as, that persona. Like that's not healthy. That's not healthy to become like one with it, like have it be you and have no separation whatsoever. Like all you do is masturbate. You are not a real person. You are a toy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it fucks with your head. I mean, and as shocking as it may sound, is what caused me to leave was my cat spilled 25 pounds of cat food all over my floor.
That was it?
I
For
called my
this
boyfriend and
any
I said,
context.
yeah, I called my boyfriend and I said, I need a vacuum. There's cat food all over the floor. I was very upset. I was crying. I was freaking out. I was very emotionally fragile. Like any minor inconvenience would cause like me to shatter
Yeah.
because I was getting attacked from all sides. I was getting gaslit. I was getting abused. I was getting manipulated. Like my brain was in survival mode.
Yeah.
So every single thing that was happening to me was a fight or flight response. Every single thing. I was in survival mode. I was 83 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
My ex looked at me and said, "Double digits, baby. Double digits. I want to see you weigh double digits." I weighed 120 when I met him. When I left him, I
Oh
weighed
my god.
83 fucking pounds.
You lost
So,
40 pounds in 6 months. That's,
in six
oh
months,
my
just by not eating.
god.
And I survived on alcohol, energy drinks, and chips. And I called him and I said, the spilled cat food everywhere. I'm freaking out. I'm crying. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Can you please just bring a vacuum over here? I had gotten a girl to start working for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in charge of her. I was in charge of setting up everything for her. I was in charge of doing all this for her, and there was an arrangement between them that she was going to get 10% of her profits because
Oh.
she wasn't his girlfriend. She was my friend that I had gotten into the industry. So to get around the whole like trafficking thing, I'm going to give you 10% of your earnings cuz I need to keep 40 for taxes.
Mm, that's fucked.
The
Doesn't make
fuck?
any
The
sense.
the Have you ever heard of the government taking almost half of what you make in
No.
taxes at all?
No.
There's deductions for that exact reason, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So they had discussed, 10% of the profit, and because she wasn't his girlfriend. And he said, well, it'll take her about a month to start getting paid because we need to make sure that she's worth the time and the effort. So you can sit here for 2 months and make a decent amount of money, but if it's not as much money as we want you to make, we're keeping it and you don't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Jeez.
this is like I was getting her set up. I was stressed out. Nothing was working. I was having technical difficulties. And like I said, everything was a fight or flight. Everything
Yeah.
was an adrenaline rush. It was exhausting all the time. It was like you're always getting attacked. It's because your brain is so fragile. And he says, "Listen, Maya, pick it up with your fucking hands. A 5-year-old can figure it out. Your fucking attitude all fucking day has been fucking disgusting. I don't want to see you for the rest of the fucking day. You can stay over there in that apartment. I don't want to fucking see you. Like, don't fucking call me. Don't text me. Don't talk to me. You're lucky if I let you fucking come home tonight."
Wow.
And I shattered. I have um a few mental disorders,
Okay.
and I've had them under control for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them being I have autism. I'm on the
Mm-hmm.
autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I raged. I was throwing things around my bathroom. I was punching my wall. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, I didn't give a fuck anymore. I was done.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I just felt empty. And I sat in front of the computer because I was, viewing the girl that I was grooming on screen, coaching her how to be a cam girl. And I sat there and I was like, I'm I'm a monster.
This is
And
like
I
all start
yeah,
crumbling
go
down
ahead.
at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's all falling apart. In that very moment, it was all falling apart. I was seeing the forest for the trees. I was seeing each and every individual moment that was not right. And I had seen like the mountain that I had allowed to build up. It's like my kitchen was on fire, and I looked over while I was playing a video game, and the video game was just too good. And I was like, okay, I'll deal with it later. My kitchen's on fire, but it's not that bad. I'm sure it'll go out by itself. So I went back to playing the video game.
Mm.
And I look over again, and the person I'm playing video games with is like, "Come on, bro, focus on the video game." And my kitchen's on fire. And I look over, and they're like, "Come on, we're losing." And you start playing again, and you forget about the fire, and then you look over, and your couch is on fire, and your whole
Yeah.
house is on fire, and you're surrounded by this huge fire, and the person playing video games with you is just like, "No, come on, the video game. Come on, look at the video game. Look at
Yeah.
this thing that has no sustenance. Don't look at what's actually happening."
Right.
And I trigger warning for this specific portion as well. I took one of the many guns that I had in my house,
Oh my god.
and I loaded it. And for the past month or two, I had been getting myself comfortable with the thought of shooting myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was suicidal for an extremely long time before this. I have a text message from my ex saying, "If I see you going through my drawers again, you're done." Because he saw me pick up his gun. He told later ex-girlfriends that I was doing that for attention. My guy, we would have all been on Fox 5 real fast. You know what I mean? Like, we would have, like, this would have been an international news story. This was not for attention. I was literally going to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
And, you start having these dark thoughts of, like, I'm going to start this pistol, and I'm done. I'm done. And I had this thought. I'm done. Because what did I tell him? What did I tell him every single time I had sex with him? If I wanted to leave, if I had to live a life without you, I wouldn't. I would die. I would kill myself. I would cease to fucking exist. So, ergo, logical point of process in my brain was, I don't want to be with him anymore, so I have to die.
Wow.
And I racked the pistol, and I put it up against my head, and I was going to shoot myself. And I kept hesitating because the only thing that scared me about killing myself in that moment in time was how bad it was going to hurt for just that moment. That was it. I had no thoughts about the people I was leaving behind, the
Yeah.
family that loved me, all of these things that still existed. It was just like I was in a bubble. And none of it crossed my mind. It was if I can't live with him, I have to live without him, and I can't live without him, so I'm going to die.
What stopped you?
I had this thought where I was like, you know what? I'm a very spiritual person. You know what? I'm gonna give it one crack. I'm gonna give it one crack, and I said I'm gonna call my fucking father.
Wow.
My dad has never answered a fucking phone call I have ever sent to him. I didn't know really. I still don't really know my dad. I know my father in passing. He's not a very prominent person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? If I call this stupid motherfucker and he answers, then I won't kill myself. And on top of that, you know how iPhones have the Hey Siri function? My fucking phone never does that shit. It never works.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Two shots. I'm a say Hey Siri. I'm gonna tell it to call my father. And if it does both of those things, then I won't eat this bullet. And it did. And I
Wow.
started talking to my dad, and my dad was aware that the situation wasn't right.
Yeah.
I had called my dad several times when I found the phone. I had called my dad and been like, hey, I think I found some stuff on my boyfriend's phone that I shouldn't have seen. And he was saying, like, well, a bed full of money usually means gang activity or hookers. And he's like, so be careful. So my dad was already aware of, like,
Something's not right.
something wasn't right with my daughter.
Right.
And I told him what was happening. I told him that I was going to kill myself. And he was like, no, I think that's kind of a dumb idea. I think you should just pack your stuff and leave. And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't live without him. I can't do it. And my dad was like, well, you're going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, because what do you think comes after this? It's still time without him, isn't it?
Right.
You just don't get to spend it with everyone else you care about.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat up and I called my best friend. She's a performer too. Her name's Cherry. You met her at the Why Not event
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
She was helping me document everything.
Wow.
She was helping me through it. I wasn't allowed to be friends with her. My ex-boyfriend was like, you are not allowed to be friends with her, specifically her, because he saw how close we were. We've been friends since high school. And I kept in touch with her in secret all the time. I had this group chat. I would send them pictures of everything that I would see that didn't make sense or that didn't sit right, and she would help me keep track of it.
That's amazing.
And I called her and I was like, hey, I think I'm ready to leave. And she goes, oh, thank God, finally. She's like, I'm calling everyone that I know in your state. Someone's gonna come pick you up. And
Yeah.
I was like, nah. I started backing out. I was, it was like this wishy-washy of like I stayed on the phone with Cherry or my father the entire time. I I was very aware of the cameras in my house, and so I very calmly and carefully got up because there's a girl in my house.
Right. Yep.
There's a girl in my guest bedroom streaming. So I carefully get up and I grab my documents that I had in that house. He still has my passport and my birth certificate.
Jeez.
But I pulled all the paperwork that I had at the house. I made sure that I brought all my, tax refunds, and cuz I had to spend my tax refund on rent. I wasn't allowed to keep that money. So I just made sure I had the actual checks because I knew that they were important and that he shouldn't be in possession of them.
Right.
And I carefully like just brought them into the bathroom because the bathroom in my house was one of the only places that I didn't have a camera because my ex didn't want to see me be gross. He didn't want to see me shit. He had this idealized idea of what a woman is, and having her be unfeminine, unclean, or gross was not in the agenda. There you go. You're not going to watch me shower. You're not going to watch me wipe my ass. You're not going to watch me piss. He didn't want to see that. So it was safe. My closet, I used to smoke weed. I wasn't allowed to smoke weed. I was not allowed to smoke weed. I wasn't allowed to do drugs. I had to stay clean.
Right.
So I would smoke weed in my closet because I knew there wasn't a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I started packing up. I dumped out. Where is it? I actually still have it.
Oh.
I dumped out this backpack. I was in the United States Army, by the way.
Oh my goodness. You're full of surprises, Maya.
Right?
Yeah.
I dumped out this backpack, and it even has an M on it and everything. How crazy.
Yeah.
I dumped out that backpack and I packed a week's worth of clothes, all my documents, and I took my comfiest pair of shoes. And I remember writing a note on a piece of paper saying X's name I love you. I'm sorry I can't do this anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And I took my cat, I grabbed my backpack, I packed everything up, and I took one last look at my apartment and my cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed my keys off the table and I flipped off the cameras as I walked out.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, fuck you. And I walked out on
Yeah.
the cameras because I knew it was going to be on fucking recording.
Yeah.
I
And
went,
he'd be
fuck you.
watching that. Totally.
And I went out to my leasing office and I told my leasing office everything.
Wow.
And they were like, do you need us to call the police? Do you need? And I was like, can I just sit in here until my Uber gets here so I can get out of the state?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to pay rent. I'm going to keep it 100% with you. My boyfriend gave me fake bank statements. I am so sorry. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't have had a place to live. I would have been I I'm sorry.
Yeah. You were coerced into
And
the situation.
and I remember the building manager got on her knees like down to me because I was sitting down, and she looked at me and she goes, as far as I'm concerned, Maya, it's only the second of the month and rent isn't due until next month on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It was the 14th. So I had 2 weeks into the first month. And
Right.
and so I had so much time before I even had to worry about breaking a lease. She's
Right.
like, as far as I'm concerned, you live here for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And so they were like, so get somewhere safe.
Yeah.
Call us then. And since I abandoned my apartment with a lot of expensive stuff in it, they auction it off
Oh.
and lower the amount that it costs for me to break the lease. So that luxury $2,600 a month apartment that I was living in, I only had to pay $3,000 to break the lease.
Really?
They worked with me,
That's awesome.
and yeah, I left my phone
Mm-hmm.
on a planter, and he found it because I was gone. I
Yeah.
texted him, "I love you," and then I turned my phone off
Yeah.
and I left it outside on a planter. And he found it, and he's letting one of his girlfriends use it now. And I hope she goes
Right.
through and sees everything because he obviously doesn't know how to wipe phones. So
No.
it's probably too late, by the way. Because he did wipe that phone that I found all that information on, but like 2 weeks after he gave it to me. So like I just pretended like I hadn't gotten a chance to look at the phone yet.
Yeah.
I got Ubered to an address and then got picked up from that address and drove 2 hours outside of the city. And I stayed in an RV because I wanted to be super secure and hidden. And I ditched every piece of technology that I owned. I had my bag searched by my cop family members so they could make sure that I didn't have any tracking devices in my bag or anything like that. And I holed out in an RV and had reoccurring nightmares of my abuser ripping open the curtains and saying, I fucking found you.
That's, oh my gosh.
And I called the human trafficking hotline several times and hung up because I was in denial that I was trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even understand that I was trafficked after I left. It took quite a bit after I left for me to understand what actually happened to me.
Yeah, for you to process this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
And
lot.
my family members I was a missing person in my state for 72 hours.
Oh my
3
gosh.
days. I fell off the face of the earth, and you know who didn't notice? My family. My family didn't notice because I had already been so alienated from them that 3 days without hearing from me was not anything out of the ordinary.
That was considered as normal. Oh,
And
that's so sad.
I've since found out the other point of view from what happened after I left, and apparently my abuser found out that I left relatively quickly
Oh.
after I left.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was over at my apartment within like 15 minutes of me leaving. Like out
Wow. That
outie.
is close. That's a close call.
And I was so scared that was the one thing that was running through my head was like, no matter what, you cannot fucking run into him. Like if you run into him, you need to scream like fire, like you know what I mean, like something like you need to get the hell away from him. He's going to like snatch you up.
Exactly.
And I remember my mom found out what was happening, and she was calling and texting my phone like she didn't know where I was, and she had a really interesting conversation with my abuser. because he picked up my phone. He answered my phone and said, "Oh, do you have any idea where Maya is? She went off the rails the other day, and I just haven't been able to find her, and she just ran off, and I'm so worried about her." And my mom goes, "That's really cute. Where's the 100,000 over that you owe
Yeah.
my daughter?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, that sounds like extortion. Should I get a lawyer?
Wow. So
Your
he's like trying
girlfriend's
to
missing,
flip
my
it?
guy. Your
Yeah.
girlfriend's missing." My parents finally like understood because they thought I was, not that they thought that I was lying, but they it was so hard to fathom. It's such a crazy situation to be in that it's like
Mhm.
there's no way, and it's like, oh no 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 no, there is 100% a way, absolutely 100%.
Wow.
There's a way. And he a lot of the things that my abuser did, it's checking off the list. Like, I can, if you'll allow me to go down the list from the Canadian Center to End Human Trafficking after hearing
Yeah.
my story and seeing what boxes this checks. um,
Please.
Warning signs someone may be a victim of human trafficking include being controlled by others, driven to and from locations, and escorted at all times. Being
Mhm.
controlled and watched by others, having someone speak for them in public. Not
Yep.
having a passport or other forms of ID in their possession. Not having control of their own money or cell phone. May have more than one cell phone in their possession.
Right.
Passport and ID documents confiscated by others. Not being familiar with the neighborhood they live or work in, being moved frequently, claiming to be new or just visiting, not being allowed to contact family or friends, lying about age, false ID, providing scripted or rehearsed answers to casual questions, and may be in possession of excess cash outside their financial means and have hotel keys. So, if you'll allow me to illustrate something,
Of course. Absolutely.
if you could ask me what happened to my face.
What happened to your face, Maya?
Oh, so the funniest thing happened. Oh my god, my ex-boyfriend, we're hanging out, and we literally were at the pool, and he was getting like way too rough, and I got held under the water for like a little too long, and it was so funny. It was so hilarious. It was funny, right? Ha 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 ha.
Oh my god. So this is what the fabricated
Scripted,
story.
scripted, rehearsed answers. Like that whole like, oh yeah, oh I ran into a pole and gave myself a black eye and bursted capillaries all over my face. I'm not being strangled in my house. Like, I mean, I have memories of like my boyfriend literally lifting me up off the floor by my neck and like me almost blacking out, and then the next day like having to go to like my brother's birthday because like I said, like I had a fight to see my family. So I was like, it's my brother's birthday, I'm gonna go see them. And my grandma being like, "Oh my god, what happened to your face?" And me
Yeah.
just being like, "Oh, oh, me and my boyfriend get way too crazy in the bedroom. It's like we like get like wild. It's super fun. What? You're not kinky? Are
Yeah.
you're not kinky? That's not kinky, bitch. That's abuse. There's a difference.
Yeah. Yep.
There's mental signs like in behavior. Um Using slang terminology that is popular within the sex industry subculture.
Mhm.
Daddy,
Yep.
pimp, bottom.
Yep. All that.
Expressing fear and intimidation through facial expressions or body language. I looked like a kicked puppy all the time. May have visible signs of substance dependency. I was addicted to my ex-boyfriend, not drugs, but I was 83 pounds and I looked like a crackhead. Fearful of law enforcement. Yeah, cops were no
Mhm.
bueno.
Right.
Act in
Mhm.
fearful or anxious, submissive, or nervous manner, excessive concern about displeasing partner or employer. I got my hair fried at a hairdresser one day, and she was
Mm.
like, "Well, I hope you're ready for a big haircut." And I had a mental breakdown in the middle of that salon because I knew my boyfriend would dump me if I cut my hair short. And no one understood why I was crying, like
Yeah.
freaking out, panicking.
Yeah.
Um, Physical appearance, maybe dressed in age inappropriate clothing. I was always dressed, for lack of a better term, like a hooker.
Right.
I was a toy. I was a Barbie doll. You'd get to dress me
Yeah.
up and I get to look so hot and sexy all the time, even when it's not appropriate for
Yeah.
me to be dressed the way that I am. It was
Totally.
still what my ex wanted. It was what he wanted, so it was what I did.
Yeah.
Maybe dress it in a clothing inappropriate for the time of year or context. Suddenly have
Mhm.
expensive clothing, purses, shoes, nail services, branding with tattoos of the trafficker's name or symbol. May have bruises, other signs of physical abuse, including malnourishment, lacking basic medical services. So I have impacted wisdom teeth, and I was supposed to get them taken out, and I got left at my house and ignored for 12 hours because I had an attitude. So I was denied medical care. I was denied dental work. My mouth hurts all the time. I was denied medical care because of my attitude. And what was I going to do? Pay for it myself? With
Yeah.
what fucking money?
Yeah. I'm so sorry that this happened to you, Maya. Like, this is, and the fact that you're able to speak about it so clearly and so vividly is
I've
amazing.
told this story over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because I have this fear that I'm going to forget something. And I remember taking, like I've a lot of my integrity has come into question constantly throughout my career, and there's one thing that I will not fucking allow, and it is for people to question my integrity on what the fuck I went through and what the fuck
Mhm.
I was.
Yes.
Because if you Google it yourself, you can find pictures of me with huge bruises all over my fucking body. I have the proof. I know what happened to me. And I will sit here and I will tell it over and over and over again, and I will remember as many fucking details as I can, and I will try to say it as eloquently and as concisely as possible because I didn't go through this for no fucking reason.
Yep. Exactly.
And for me to just to slip into this this cycle of women getting out and getting addicted to drugs to try to escape it, forget it, and then you forget it and it's gone and there's nothing you can do. You went through it and it's for nothing.
Mhm.
And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. It's
No,
I
totally.
it's what happened to me for a reason. Because if this had happened to someone who wasn't as prepared as I already was, it would have killed them. Because I've heard the stories of the girls that came after me. I've contacted damn near every single one of his girlfriends.
Mhm.
Hi, I've talked to every single one of your ex-girlfriends. And it's I had it the worst.
Jeez.
And that's something that really fucking sucks. Is you sit there and you hear them tell all these stories and it's like, "Oh, he just hated me." And not he loved to, like, he I was his, like, little punching bag. Like, the only thing that this man liked about me was how much pain he was able to cause on a consistent basis to me. Like, it was sadistic.
Yeah. I mean, like, I heard that he hated women. Like, I mean, I'll say, because I don't want to get in trouble with anything here and the legal repercussions and whatnot, but he is well known. He has a bit of a following too, with the article you sent me, and yeah, he had this hate towards women.
Yeah, and this idealization of this whole women are dumb, small, and easy to conquer, and we are men. And then that whole, like, we are men, and I decided, and I know with and this has only to do with the topic that we are discussing right now, and I understand that the way that this might come out might sound a little selfish or a little one-sided, but this industry was made for women.
Hmm. No, I hear you.
Sometimes there are some men that have no fucking business being here. No disrespect to my fellow male performers. I've met hundreds of good male performers. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of bad photographers. There's a lot of bad studios. There's a lot of bad managers. There's a lot of bad performers. There's people literally getting away with rape, assault,
Oh, yes. You name it.
selling humans. Like what the hell is happening? And that's the whole the reason why I left. And I was like, I'm gonna get a normal job and I'm gonna put this all behind me. And I went, I don't think I'm going to,
Yeah.
because I didn't
And
I didn't get this far to only get this far.
no. I'd love for you to, I know like we've talked about warning signs, we've talked about that, we've talked about your story, how you escaped. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit in terms of like your resiliency, where that strength comes from, and how you're able to go back and go into actual sex work. Because what you were doing before was exploitative.
So I took about a 2 month hiatus after I got out of my situation. I basically sat and did nothing, which was nice after working every day for 6 months. And it was like, oh my god, it stopped.
Yeah, you could do whatever you want now.
Yeah, and I chose to do absolutely nothing, and that was the way that I chose to care for myself, was that I needed to take a break, and I needed to really take a break, like a real break, like a
Yeah.
don't worry about anything,
Yeah, fair enough.
just just recuperate, put your brain back together.
Yeah.
And it's all about like that whole like putting your brain back together. It's like
Yeah.
a big puzzle piece. It's like you're playing 52 card pickup.
Mhm.
And you just have to go back to the things that you go back to the things that you were before. And not even, and I've since found that a lot of the people that I knew before, a lot of the things that I was doing before, I don't really care for anymore. But
Mhm.
reconnecting to who you were prior is super important. Of
Mhm.
like a It's like the feeling of like, oh my god, I'm real, I'm really real, like I
Yeah.
actually am real, like I don't I knew people, I lived before this, like I knew I did things. And that was definitely really important. And I started looking around in my area, because I went to the opposite side of the country. I was not playing any games.
Yeah.
I got as far as away as I could, as fast as I could. And I started looking in my area, for like jobs, gas station,
Yeah.
working
Any
out of Starbucks again, anything. And
yeah.
I just sat and I was like, I didn't get this far to only get this far. I feel like if I just stop, it's like it wasn't, I just did it all and I got nothing from it. I learned so much about the industry. I got, like I was basically given all the information to be the most profitable I physically fucking could. I had all the information. I have all of it. I know everything. And it's like I was given this like
Yeah.
gift, and now I have to do something with it. It would be a shame to not.
Yeah, because like you
And
were given all the tools of the trade, and it would be a shame for you to like not reap the profits of that and reap the
absolutely, and
benefits of
and of
that.
course, I would be lying if there wasn't a little bit of like a vindictive part of me. It was like, fuck you. If you thought I was gonna fucking die without you, I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna live 20 times better than I would have ever did with you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like your shitty Ferrari don't mean nothing to me. I'll buy my own. And it was like that, just like, like fuck you. Like a fuck this, fuck you. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be just as good as I was, and guess what? It's not your money anymore. And it was a lot of a struggle of keeping up with this. Like I had this standard in my head that I was trying to uphold, and I was like, that's unrealistic. You were getting trafficked, you were being exploited. That's how you did so good, is it you didn't listen to your body, you didn't listen to when it was too much, you didn't stop when you were tired. That's key to burnout.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's because you didn't have a choice, but now you do. And just because you're not making as much money as you were before doesn't mean that you're not doing good.
Mhm.
It's not all about the money.
Yeah.
It's about the cultivating a community. And that's something that I dedicated my entire career to, from when I was being trafficked to now. Was I wanted to cultivate a community of like actually giving a shit. and not in like a superficial, like I'm gonna help you and then I'm gonna say, well, you owe me now because I helped you, or you should praise me because I helped you. I did such a nice thing. Where is my praise? It's just give a fuck.
Yeah. Just care.
Even though it doesn't affect me and my life, and my world will continue to spin no matter what the fuck is happening in yours, it doesn't mean that I can't take the moment to just stop and fucking listen. And that's because that's all we have. That's all we have is each other.
That's so
And it
important,
gets lost in this, like it's just porn, but it's not. It's the most intimate thing we fucking do.
right?
It's personal. It's
Oh,
sex
yeah.
is so personal. Even when it's not, even when you take the emotion out of it, and it's the combining of two things, regardless of these two energies and their meeting. It's emotional.
Mhm.
You get to know someone with your coochie out, and you get to know a lot more. I know a lot more about my clients, my fans, however you want to call them, than I know about normal people that I interact with on a daily basis. They're
Mhm.
prone to be more honest. They're prone to be more candid. Even if they're not being honest about the situation, they're candid about the feelings that they're feeling.
Very vulnerable, very intimate as well. That's the work that we do.
Yeah, and that's why I fell in love with it. Was just like I could decommercialize myself. It's completely up to me now, and that's such a bizarre feeling, and it's definitely a scary one. It's a lot of responsibility, but it's once you realize, like, you already know how to do what you're doing.
You got the agency now, though.
Yeah, you just have to get out of your head, like, I can do this without you. And that's the biggest block, is like you can do this without them.
Well, I love that. That's so key because like I'm just so glad to hear that there is like a silver lining to this whole situation, to your whole situation, your story, and that you're able to come back from it.
I feel like I've accomplished more in this later part of my career than I did in my early, and I haven't been out for as long as I was in yet. And I feel like
Mhm.
I've accomplished more now than I did in the 6 months that I was in. I've had the pleasure of working at Exoticas. I've had the pleasure
Yeah.
of meeting all these amazing creative minds and people, and I've learned a few lessons along the way, and I've definitely made some enemies, but like that's part of the game, and that's part of the fun, is just I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm more of a shot of whiskey, and I really don't give a shit either way.
Well, Maya, with that, there are a couple questions that came in as well.
Absolutely.
And they're kind of complex. Oh, they can be complex. It really just depends on how you're digesting it. But there's a bit of context with them. So I'm gonna read it off my phone because there's a lot that was here. So the first one is, and this one came from Twitter. What are your opinions on the total decriminalization of sex work in a democratic society? And this person gave a bit more context. This person said, I'm against the total decrim of sex work in democratic society because decrim and legalization are proven to increase the rates of trafficking and vulnerable people from impoverished societies into democratic societies where the rewards are big and the risk is low. And she is wanting to hear others' opinions on these matters, especially individuals who have had firsthand experience with the negatives.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like it's a very double-edged sword with the decriminalization, because as a whole, we kind of all recognize, like, we are not people in the eyes of the law. The things that we
Mhm.
experience and things that we go through are kind of tabooed, and they are, oh well, you're a sex worker, so how could you have gotten raped? Like, no, it's a not a sex worker thing, it's a consent thing. We still have the capacity to say yes and no and stuff like that. And I feel like with decriminalization, yes, it does raise the question, will trafficking increase? But also it raises the question, if we are stepping forward into detabooing this concept of making it not illegal,
Mhm.
why would you punish the women walking on the streets when it's not their fault? It's their pimp that's taking their money. They are simply surviving. You should not be punished for doing what it takes to fucking survive. And if you want to get religious about it, God gives everyone the right to defend themselves in
Mhm.
whatever manner that may be.
Right.
The universe gives everyone the right to defend themselves. It is well within your right to defend yourself however you may see fit to survive.
Mhm.
and I feel like it's part of the problem to just lock up these, like, to lock up 304s that are walking the street, and punish them and not the fucking pimp that's making them walk.
Yeah, how backwards is
Because
that?
do you think if they had a choice that they would be doing this like this way? Because like I said, your body, your choice, your discretion, but at the same time, if someone's telling you to do something, it's different than you making that decision on
Yeah,
your own.
that's very different, and those two get conflated all the time.
But with decriminalization, you also need to have standards put in place. There needs to, it can't be just decriminalizing it. There has to be several other things put in place directly immediately afterwards to um set standards, to I'm trying, the word is escaping me, like set rules, regulate the industry, to regulate it. Like there has to be contracts on file, they have to be notarized in order for them to be valid, which means that somebody has to stamp them. And like, we can get into the convolutedness of like, but like people can still become a notary and notarize their own documents, yada yada. Yes, but when you start throwing wrenches in the works, this system, they do the same thing every single time. When you stop making them be able to do the same thing every time, it slows them down. And when you start making them not be able to do the same thing every time at the same time, they have to keep changing every time. It's
Mm.
harder. It's not ever gonna, crime is never gonna stop. There
No.
is never not gonna be people doing illegal things. Laws are suggestions in their very form. It's really honestly up to you if you're willing to accept the consequences for breaking a law, correct? There is nothing physically inhibiting you from committing a crime. It is your conscious decision that you know that there are consequences, and
Yes.
you know that you don't want to deal with them. Hypothetically, laws are a suggestion. There is always
Mhm.
going to be people breaking them.
Right. That's
And
true.
so it's just like that, regulating that decriminalizing, yes, it's a double-edged sword, but I genuinely think that the way that we have been going about it thus far hasn't been
It
working.
has been working, yeah. And like as you mentioned, like decrim is only one part of the equation. It's not the be all and end all.
It would be ignorant of us to just decriminalize it and leave it at that. Like, oh, all our problems are solved, it's not illegal anymore. No,
No,
no, no,
no.
you just created a whole different problem that we now have to, but now we can regulate it because it's a law now, it's legal, we can regulate legal activity. It's the same concept behind marijuana. We couldn't regulate marijuana because it wasn't legal, but now that it's becoming more legal, we can regulate it.
Right. Well, great answer. Very eloquent. Wonderful. You've got opinions. I love
Thank you,
it.
thank you. I was a debate team kid, so
I can tell. We got the last question here, and there's a bit of context as well. So this one's from Instagram. So does Maya think that sex work should be made legal? Again, this is kind of in a similar landscape, or should be banned or further restricted? And this person elaborated. I know someone who is a former sex worker who also became a victim more than once, I believe. But now she's pretty much anti sex work, and the organization she volunteers for is in favor of anti sex work laws and legislation. So I just wanted to know her perspective and what she thinks in regards to laws, etc.
the way that I believe and the way that I operate in my everyday life is, I think allowing the government to set a precedence on things that we are and are not allowed to do with our bodies is a dangerous precedent to set. So I am never going to be anti-sex work, because who the hell am I to tell people what they can and cannot do with their bodies? By setting a precedence that someone else can tell us what we can and cannot do in the privacy of our own homes is setting a precedent. So of course I'm never going to be anti-sex work. The only thing that, with my experience as a victim of human trafficking and everything like that, the only thing that I personally want to push for, and something that I want to take the steps to lead the way on, is I want to raise the age.
Okay,
I
this is
feel
an
like
interesting perspective.
I feel like that is a good way to start, is and I'm 19 years old. This, if I try to pass this law would effectively put me out of work.
Mm,
So this
mhm.
is how strongly I feel about it. Is I genuinely do not think at the age of 18 I was able to understand and comprehend the consequences, the weight, the price this industry takes, because
Yeah.
this industry is like a deal with the devil. You will give and you will give, and it will take and it will take. And you have to be able to stop it. You have to be able to cognizantly be in charge of yourself and your environment and who you surround yourself with. Are you making the best decisions at 18 at all in general?
No, no one did. No one ever
No
did.
one is. I'm still not making the best decisions, and I'm 19 years old. And the only thing that I have to thank for is the experiences that I've gone through have aged me in my mind. They have given
Yeah,
me an older person's perspective on things. And
right.
and that's the only thing that I think is saving me now from being as dumb as I could be. Is I don't think that 18-year-olds should be able to make that decision.
No. Yeah,
In
that's a
the
really
United
good
States of
point.
America, we don't let them drink at 18. We make them wait till they're 21. You can't even smoke. You can't even smoke under 18 in the United States of under 21 in the United States of America. So why are we letting people make porn?
Mm. This is a great this is such a great question and
Exactly. It's
great answer.
contributing to this concept of like this industry, as we're all aware, is very has some very pedophilic tendencies.
That's definitely an
It
aspect.
does. Elephant in the room. It does. It's the reason why I make a conscious decision to have body hair is you will not look at me like I'm a little fucking girl. I am
Right.
fully tattooed. I am not a little fucking girl. I have piercings. I am not a girl. I am a grown fucking woman and you will not treat me like I am a girl. And I feel like raising that age because think about the fucking disgusting concept behind like barely legal. Oh,
Yeah.
we waited till this girl turned 18 to get her. That's grooming. You're admitting to grooming. That studio that says, I waited until this girl turned 18 to start filming porn with her, you groomed her. That is the exact precedence, and that's something that we are not willing to talk about. Is like you can an 18-year-old can be like that was my idea all day long, but fucking was it? Because are
Yeah.
you sure? Gaslighting is a hell of a motherfucker. And you can be convinced that it was your idea all day long, but really was it? Because
Yeah.
that's what they want you
That's
to
a
think.
question to ask.
The most effective manipulation is when it is you think it is your idea.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, we waited for this girl to turn 18. Oh, she's barely legal. Look at the teen pussy. Teen,
Ugh.
not adult. Teen. Why
Yeah.
are we using the word teen in the porn industry? This is not a
It's
space for
marketing.
teenagers.
It's
This is not a
marketing
space for teenagers. I'm sorry. This is a space for adults.
for
This is
adults.
adult content. This is not teen content, correct? This is triple X adult content. And I like this goes for just everything and like how I feel about everything. I don't think that 18 should be the marker of adulthood and period point blank.
You're still a child.
You're still a child. You are still thinking you are effectively a year younger than you think you are, just based off of the concept of like your first birthday is your first full revolution around the sun. You've already been alive for a year, right?
Mhm.
You're finishing your first full complete. So you are only a year. Do you understand? Like you are when you turn 17, you're still basically 16. When you turn 18, you're still basically 17.
17. Yeah. This makes sense. And this is wow, this can be a huge topic. This might be a future episode. So, really great point there. Kind of hit the nail the head on that one. And again, thank you for just opening up my mind a bit more too on this and just, calling it out like it is. So, but Maya, before I let you go, like I feel like you can just talk forever. This has been like such a captivating, also a really stressful conversation. I just felt like it was a lot. It was a lot. So I feel like people will be taking breaks on this episode, but I know people will they might be wanting to reach out to you. So if you want to be found, where can we find you?
So I've made it as easy as physically possible for everyone to find me. If you plug in Maya Romero 55, MayaRomero in 55 into any platform. I mean, literally anything: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Sex Panther, Chatterbait. I'm trying to get back on Strip Chat. All of these places. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Twitch. I'm everywhere. Maya Romero 55 is the best way. And shoot me a follow, shoot me a PM. I'm always checking this thing. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, like I'm here to be a point of outreach for anyone who may have questions about what we talked about today, anyone who might need advice or guidance, and anyone who just is curious in general. I'm always open and willing to talk about it. I think the best and most important thing we can do is educate.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like the whole point of my show, is to educate on all these topics that you might not hear about. So I just want to thank you again, for your strength and resiliency, and just telling us in great detail about your experience, your story, the horrors that you had to live through. So thank you so much for this.
I appreciate it. My hope is that, by getting as specific as possible, it helps people identify and um, prevent.
Yeah, 100%. We need more transparency in our world in every aspect, I would say.
Yeah,
So
and I mean it's embarrassing, like it's basically at point blank, because I know, the haters, the trolls or whatever, he has his little army of idiots.
mhm.
It's like, I'm aware, I was dumb, I got scammed, I'm aware, but it doesn't excuse what the fuck happened to me. Just
No.
because I was stupid enough to get taken advantage of doesn't mean that you get the right to beat on me, to get to the right to traffic me, to steal from me. Like, that doesn't excuse the behavior. Yeah, you got me, but I'm gonna make sure you won't get anyone else.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for sharing your story. If you want to hear more episodes like this, you can listen to season 3. There was one other episode near the end of season 3 that you might want to listen to with Brandy Wood. There might be another upcoming episode as well, talking about the different types of sex trafficking. Because again, like, we could have an entire episode on that itself. But for now, part 2. But for now, everyone else listening in, if you like what you are hearing, please maybe rate the show 5 stars on Spotify. It's Stripped by Sia and all podcast platforms. Maybe write a review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps with visibility and accessibility as well, so more people can discover the show. If you wanted to see the video exclusive, it's on patreon.com/stripped by Sia, and it's also Stripped by Sia on Twitter as well as on Instagram. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you everyone who has listened and stayed on for this really juicy and meaty hour and a half conversation with Maya. But for now, thank you so much, Maya. We'll catch you in for another day, okay? Bye. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabrin.